Vault number 1 is a layout Yurchenko, start value 975. All right, so vault number 1, vault number 4.12, a layout Yurchenko, start value of a 975. The support phase 0.05 for arms bent. On the second flight, 0.05 to 1 for height, 0.05 for body position, 0.1 for failure to maintain stretch. And just a reminder, these are general deductions from a group of 12 judges, so not every judge took full deductions on what we're showing here. Also 0.05 on feet. And then on the landing, we had a 0.1 deduction for the step, 0.05 for dynamics, and 0.05 for the no hold. And we are going to see the vault in slow motion. So you can see a little better in slow motion the arm bend on the table. She obviously did not have control on her landing. All right, vault number 2 is a Yurchenko layout half. Start value is a 995. All right, again, this was a Yurchenko layout half, 995 start value. On the first flight, we had 0.05 for knee bend, support phase 0 to 0.5 for shoulder angle, 0.5 for legs bent in support. The second flight, we had 0.5 in height, 0.5 for failure to maintain stretch. You can see when you watch the slow motion how after she begins the turn, she starts to sit forward a little bit, and that would be where those body position or stretch deductions would come from. 0 to 0.5 legs bent. On the landing, we have a 0.1 for step, and again, a 0.05 for the hold. The average on this vault was a 9.6 with a range of 9.55 to 9.65. So you can see the knee bend here in slow motion right there. And now see how she starts to sit up and her body position changes a bit and she bends her knees a little early. So on the hold, she definitely took that one step forward and brought them back together again, which you would take a deduction for the step, but she did not even attempt to control that landing and hold it for that 1 second. All right, vault number 3 is a handspring pike half, start value of a 10.0. All right, on a handspring pike half, start value 10.0. On the first flight, we had 0.05 to 0.1 for leg separation and or knee bend. On the support phase, we had 0 to 0.05 for shoulder angle. On the second flight, we had 0.1 to 0.15 for height, 0 to 0.05 in length, 0.15 to 0.2 for insufficient or late open, and then 0.5 to 0.1 for legs and feet. On the landing, a 0.1 for step, 0.1 for incorrect body position on landing, 0.05 for dynamics, and 0.05 for hold. Average of this vault was a 9.4. The range was a 9.3 to a 9.5. So you can see the leg separation and the knee bend there. And then obviously the body position on landing, she was below horizontal with her chest. And then she did take that step and she pulls her foot back together there, but then she doesn't hold it. So that would have been the step deduction. She definitely had control when she brought her feet back together. She could have held that for 1 second without a problem, it seems. All right, the next vault is a Yurchenko 1.5, a start value of 10.0. All right, as a reminder, that was a Yurchenko 1.5, 10.0 start value. On the first flight, we had 0 to 0.05 for leg separation and knee bend. Support phase 0 to 0.05 for shoulder angle and 0.05 for arm bend. And on the landing, we had 0.05 for steps, 0 to 0.05 for deviation and direction, and 0.05 for that hold position. She did finish controlled, but again, she didn't hold that for that full 1 second. So the average is a 9.875. The range is a 9.85 to a 9.9. In the real time speed, and you could think that she stuck that, but you'll see in slow motion that she did slide her feet forward when she brought her heels together. And here we can see the slight leg separation and knee bend, and then watch her feet actually do move a little bit forward as she slides her heels together. So that would have been a step deduction. And no hold again. All right, the next vault is a Yurchenko full, and it is a 9.95 start value. So a Yurchenko full, a 9.95 start value. First flight, we had 0 to 0.05 for leg separation or knee bend. In the support phase, we had 0.05 for shoulder angle. Second flight, 0.05 for height, no deduction for length, and 0.05 for failure to maintain stretch. We had 0.1 for steps, and then we had 0.1 for deviation and direction. Just to remind everyone that you would base that deduction off of the initial contact with the mat, not the hop sideways that she did to the edge of the mat. So where her feet hit is where that deduction is determined. And then, of course, we had 0.05 for the hold. Average was a 9.6. The range was a 9.55 to a 9.65. So when you watch this in slow motion, you can watch where her feet initially contact the mat, which is not in the center. You can tell from here. But then the hop to the side, I thought this was a really good example to use, as you would not take it from where she finished her hop, but where her feet contacted the mat initially. All right, again, Yurchenko 1.5, start value 10.0. We had no deductions in the first flight or the support phase. In the second flight, 0 to 0.05 for knee bend and 0.05 for no hold on the landing, an average of a 9.925, range of 9.9 to 9.95. When you watch it in slow motion, you'll be able to see the slight knee bend and this hold position. She does put her arms up and straighten her knees, but she does not hold it for 1 second before she pumps her fist. All right, Yurchenko full, 9.95 start value. In the support phase, we had 0 to 0.05 for shoulder angle and 0.05 to 1 for the turn beginning too early. In the second flight, we had 0.05 for height, 0.05 to 1 for failure to maintain stretch, and then 0 to 0.05 for legs. On the landing, we had 0.05 for body posture on landing, 0 to 0.05 for dynamics, and again, the 0.05 for hold, although I thought she was close to her 1 second, but not quite again. The average score was a 9.75, range was a 9.7 to a 9.8. Watch when her hands contact the table, and as she leaves the table, her body is already a quarter turn. See that? Her hands are still on the table and she's almost a quarter turn into the flip. So I think that would warrant a deduction for turning early and support. She did get the whole deduction, but I think on that one, again, she was close, but she wasn't at that full 1 gymnastics. She was at 1 gymnast, and then she turned. So let's make sure that we're really making sure they get that full 1 second, especially at the beginning of the season, to reinforce this rule, not giving them much leeway on that 1 second. That's why we have to be really prepared to count in whatever, 1 Mississippi, 1 gymnastics, 1 1000, they're all about the same. So be prepared on that first meet that you're judging to really pay attention to that hold and reinforcing that for the athletes, that they have to maintain control for 1 second. And that is all for vault.